Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes here and thank you for joining me for this long overdue collection update video here on my channel, going through all of the horror movies that I've picked up over the past 6 months. Now before we go any further, I'm just going to open this by saying there is chapters in the time bar below, so if you want to skip through this intro, because there's a couple things that I want to say about today's collection update in particular, and then also my channel a little bit. So if you want to get straight to the horror movies, there's a shit ton to go through off to the side here, so if you want to skip straight to that, just use the time bar below. But I'm just going to quickly say, if you're familiar with my channel and you've seen my collection updates before, you guys would know I'd normally do it after the cycle of every season. So every 3 months at the end of summer, I'll do a collection update. At the end of autumn, another one. But this year, I think I'm going to change it from 3 months to 6 months, just push 2 3-month cycles together. Just because I've spoken about this on my channel before. At the end of last year, I moved into a new house, living alone, so that just took up a lot of time, but then also money. You know, it's not cheap moving into your new place, so I wasn't really buying a lot of stuff. Also went on a holiday at the end of last year as well, so I was gone for a long time, and I just knew if I was to do a collection update video after the usual 3-month cycle, there wasn't really going to be much to show off. So I thought it was just a little bit pointless. Let's put 2 3-month cycles together and make it a collection update for summer and autumn 2025. So that's what I'll be doing today. And I'm also very aware, I've kind of have this little break from my YouTube channel recently. The last video that I posted on YouTube, I actually recorded long ago, saved it and then just put it up, you know, a little bit over time. But even from that point of my last video, it's been a little while since I uploaded, and to be completely honest, the reason for that has been a little bit of burnout. I'm not over YouTube or anything like that. I'm actually really excited to get back into it, but honestly I was a little bit burnt out, just a lot with personal life stuff going on, as in work, new roles and everything like that, just finding time. Had a lot of birthdays and family things going on, so even just finding time to watch a movie has been like crazy. But then watching it and then finding time to do a review for it, and then finding time to edit that video, even though I don't do much editing in my videos anyway, but just putting all those things together, it was like tiring me out. So I just needed to chill for a bit, and I was like, you know what, I'll come back for my summer autumn 2025 collection update video. With that being said, also normally in my collection updates I'd do my horror movies, which would take up like 85-90% of the video. Then I'd do some albums that I picked up, and then also some collectibles. I'm going to do my albums in a completely other video, because otherwise this will go way too long, because this is definitely the most horror movies that I've ever had to show off for one of my collection update videos. I'm going to try and make it quick, but I've also got horror collectibles off to the side, so I'll still do that as usual. As I said, I'll leave chapters in the time bar below, so if you want to skip through. But like usual, we'll try and do this collection update video all in one take. So I've got my water here. Like I said, this is the most horror movies that I've ever had to do for a collection update video, so let's get into it. And yeah, so like I said, this is everything that I've picked up over summer, autumn 2025, 6 months. So some of them I actually haven't got around to watching, because as I said, just finding time in general, but then also, some of them I have watched, but I watched them so long ago because, as I said, 6 months. But let's get into it. The first one here is a movie called The Flood. I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is still wrapped. But I do love my killer animal movies. I've spoken about that a lot. This one, just from what it sounds like, reminds me very much of Kroll. If you remember that killer alligator movie directed by, it was Arja, I think, Alexander Arja. It just sounds a lot like that, but I'll check out The Flood, sure. I should probably save this one, actually. I'll put that aside. I picked up Army of Darkness, which is kind of the third Evil Dead movie. Not only did I not own Army of Darkness, I've actually never seen it, so this should be interesting. Happy to finally get my hands on it. I love coming across a movie that is just a blind spot. Like, every horror fan has seen Army of Darkness. I just never owned it and have never seen it. I picked up a movie called Warlock. Haven't watched this one yet, but it seems pretty interesting. This is actually the first of the lot that I have watched. A found footage horror movie called Afflicted. This one surprised me. It was actually pretty interesting. I expected it to just be like a demonic possession horror movie, but it's actually about a guy who is turning into a vampire, and it's kind of like a body horror found footage movie. And yeah, I actually found it to be pretty interesting. Like, I wouldn't say it's like a top tenner for the found footage movies, but I thought it was pretty cool. I picked up Godzilla, the light there, Godzilla -1. I haven't watched it since picking it up, but I love Godzilla -1. The year that it came out, which would have been 2023, I think this was my second favourite horror movie of that year, but thinking back, it could honestly take the #1 spot. It was, I think I gave the #1 spot to Talk to Me, which I still really like that movie, but Godzilla -1 was awesome. I picked up this Shudder exclusive called, what's it called? The Spine of Night. I forgot what it was called. I did watch this one long ago when I picked it up, but honestly I don't remember it very well. But it was pretty interesting from what I do remember. I love coming across these old school Umbrella Entertainment releases. They have like this whole line that look like comic books, but I found one for I Drink Your Blood, and I gave it a watch. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I know a lot of people really like this movie. It's like one of those cult classics that everyone just thinks back on so fondly. I probably didn't like it as much as a lot of people out there do, but I thought it was cool. Just very gory, gruesome, brutal sort of stuff, but I mean, come on. Love it. Alright. As I said, I've just got so many piles next to me, and I'm trying to get through it quick because I already know this video is going to take ages. Hounds of Love. This is one that's been on my watch list for the longest time. From the very first time I heard about this movie, I'm like, okay, that sounds very much up my alley. But again, just haven't found time to give it a watch. From memory, I'm pretty sure this is a Australian film as well. So, yeah, I'm keen to check this one out. I found this Ghoulies 1 and 2 set, which I'm really happy that I found because I've actually got a physical copy of Ghoulies 2 somewhere, but it's hard to find a singular copy of Ghoulies, so Ghoulies 1 and 2, and then I'll have to eventually pick up Ghoulies 3, which is Ghoulies Go to College. Here's a cool one called Nocebo. This one was cool. I remember hearing the synopsis for this movie, and I'm like, man, I need to find a copy of this film, and I just couldn't find it anywhere. And then just it so happened to be a couple days past, and I've seen this one pop up on a JB Hi-Fi's site, so I'm like, oh, I need to pick it up. And yeah, this movie's really interesting. It's sort of hard to explain what's going on in this one. It's a bit of a psychological film here. But yeah, I recommend kind of going into this one blind anyway. It was really cool. Picked up a movie called Werewolves, but I still haven't opened it. I presume it's like action horror from what the plot sounds like. It's pretty much The Purge, as in like when this supermoon comes out, these werewolves hit the streets and everyone tries to stay inside and stay safe, but this one guy's going out to kill them. So it's like a mix between, I don't know, The Howling and The Purge, but it sounds pretty interesting, so I'll get around to it again when I have time. One that I haven't watched yet, like a lot of these, Barren Blood. But this one sounds really interesting. What year? 1974, is that right? I thought it was earlier. 1974. If you've seen Barren Blood, let me know. Keen to check that one out. I picked up the Carrie remake. There was just this period of time where everyone was talking about the Carrie franchise and whatever, and I'm like, I've actually never seen the Carrie remake, so I had to pick it up. You know what? It actually isn't that bad. It's pretty good. Like, it's above average, nothing to blow your mind or whatever, but I thought it was decent. It's not as good as the original, but, you know. Like, I remember when it first came out, everyone was like, oh, this is shit, but it's actually not that bad, so I'm happy I found time. A movie called My Little Eye. This is like really heavy. Yeah, there's 2 discs inside, that's why. The second disc is special features. Again, don't know much about My Little Lie, but I will give it a watch when I find time. Another movie that I already owned, but I wanted to pick up another copy of it, and that is Universal's The Mummy with Boris Karloff from 32. I have this in a Boris Karloff set, but I like to have singular releases of movies, as in like, I don't mind if I have like a franchise altogether, but in this Boris Karloff set it was like this, The Black Cat, which I also have a singular copy for now, and The Raven. So I just wanted them all sort of split. The movie itself, I haven't rewatched it since picking it up, but I'm honestly not massive on Universal's The Mummy. I picked up Color Outer Space with Nicolas Cage. What blew my mind most about this movie is that it's directed by Richard Stanley. Like, I've heard so many people talk about this movie, mostly about Nicolas Cage and how it's like Lovecraftian and shit. How come no one fucking told me it was Richard Stanley that directed this movie? Yeah, Richard Stanley is an interesting guy, so now like I have even more expectations about this movie. Okay, this was a cool find. I found a bootleg for Terrifier 3. Now, I won't ramble on because I've spoken about plenty of times on my channel and on socials about how much I loved Terrifier 3. Umbrella was only releasing Terrifier 3 on Blu-ray, so if you wanted to have Terrifier 3 in your collection, you needed to, I don't know, sell a kidney on the black market to afford the Blu-ray. So that was annoying, but I found this kind of, I was about to say legit bootleg, if that's even a thing, but I found this bootleg, and the movie looks perfectly fine. And yeah, I've been rewatching this like crazy because I love Terrifier 3. I picked up a movie called Die Alone. Now, this one was recommended by Moods. His channel is Mood616. This was on his top 10 list of last year, and everyone else on the podcast show, I'm not sure if anyone knows what I'm talking about, the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast, he's one of the hosts, obviously, and this was his number 10 of last year, and no one else on the show knew anything about it, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen that on the shelves, so I picked it up, and you know what, it actually was pretty good. The ending was really where I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. But yeah, the movie was pretty neat. I'm not sure if I would have it in my top 10 from last year, but it'd be up there. It was an entertaining watch for sure. I picked up The Toolbox Murders. I'm pretty sure this is the remake. I haven't actually checked. Haven't given it a rewatch, or a watch at all. So there we go. Alright. Grabbing another pile. There's so much here. Like, it got to a point where I was like second guessing. I'm like, wow, is 6-month intervals for a collection update too much? But like I said, I'm buying less now just because I need to keep a roof over my head and shit like that. But I picked up Roman Polanski's Repulsion, again on the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. They did a Polanski episode. And I know already people are going to be thinking in the comments like, oh, you know, Roman Polanski, he's obviously a pretty terrible guy, and he's done a lot of bad things. But you gotta, me at least, I separate the art from the person. And he's a hell of a director. So Repulsion, I haven't seen it. I've seen, you know, Rosemary's Baby and The Tenant and whatever, and I like those movies, so I'm keen to check out Repulsion again when I have time. One that a lot of people will be saying, what's it doing here? It's not a horror movie. And you're right, it's not. It's Parasite, obviously a great film by Bong Joon-ho. It won an Oscar and whatever. The reason why I have it here is there is genuinely parts in this movie that creep me the fuck out. Like, a lot of things going on in the background, and just the way that they manipulate this family. I get it, it's a thriller 100%, and there's actually a lot of comedy in this movie as well. It's actually pretty funny, but there is moments that genuinely make my skin crawl, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna pick it up anyway. I picked up a movie called Body Parts. Now, this was a cool one. It was a first time watch for myself. Being a massive Simpsons fan, I just immediately got connections between this and the Treehouse of Horror episode where Homer buys Jailbird Snake's hair and then it infects him and corrupts him. But yeah, this movie was pretty interesting, really cool. I'm excited to give this one a rewatch, actually. Give it another go round. Another one that was a first time watch that might surprise a lot of people, Cronenberg's Dead Ringers. Yeah, this is going to be up there with one of my favourite Cronenberg movies. I've spoken about this before. I'm not as high on Cronenberg as what a lot of other people are. My favourite movie of his, hands down, is The Fly. Like, The Fly to me is a perfect 10 out of 10. But with that being said, this is probably my number 2 now. I really enjoyed Dead Ringers. I thought Jeremy Irons in a dual role was really good. But again, I watched this one very early on, so it's been a while. It's not overly fresh in my memory, but yeah, it's definitely up there for Cronenberg movies. For myself, at least. Alright, this next one is one called The Signal. Haven't got around to watching it yet. Again, it was one brought up on the podcast, and that's why I grabbed it. From memory, it's like a Y2K horror movie, if I remember right, and it's kind of like, it's not an anthology, but it's got like different stories from what I heard. I don't know, I'm keen to check it out again. Here's one that I'm so happy I found time to pick up. It's a movie called Oddity, again a Shudder exclusive. This was my number 3 favorite horror movie from last year. To me, this was the scariest of horror movie of last year. I know scariest and what people find scary is subjective, but to me, man, there was so many parts in this movie that legit had me shooting bricks. And I am one person that will say I don't get scared very easily anymore. I'm sure, like a lot of horror fans, you sort of get numb to it at a certain point for watching horror for so long. But there was parts in this movie where I'm like, fuck, this is like making me shit bricks. But yeah, Oddity. It's a good movie as well. I picked up the OG Invisible Man. Again, just picking up more classic Universal movies. I think this is a fun one. I know a lot of people are really high on it. I think like my favourite original Universal monster movie is probably Creature of the Black Lagoon. Frankenstein's also up there. Wolfman. This would be somewhere around the middle. I do like the Invisible Man, but like I said, probably not as high on it as a lot of other people. Mario Bava's Hatchet for the Honeymoon. Still haven't given this one a watch yet, but I was happy that I came across a copy of it. It's always cool coming across these Shock Entertainment Cinema Cult grey banner releases, because these used to be all over the place back in the day here in Australia, but then they changed how they did these releases, and then they started putting slip covers on them like this, and now they don't do either. I'm sure it's not even a line anymore, these Cinema Cult movies, which kind of sucks, but yeah, I was happy to come across this one. Hatchet for a Honeymoon, Mario Bava. Another classic director from that region, we have Dario Argento's Dracula. Now, this is known as being one of Argento's worst movies, which, you know, is probably not a great sign. You know, Argento is, in my opinion, my favourite, or one of my favourite directors. But yeah, I haven't seen his version of Dracula. I'll give it a go, but I've heard that it is pretty bad. I picked up Species 2. I'm not even a massive fan of the first Species movie, but I have it. I think it's okay, so I'll give Species 2 a go. I picked up Carnival of Souls, a very classic movie. I think it's such a beautiful movie. Like, watching it, the score, the imagery, yeah, I think everything. There's a lot of things in this movie that is just beautiful. I'm not crazy about the film, but I'm happy to have a singular copy of it, because again, I do actually have this in my collection, but it's in a set. So I picked up Demons 2, which has sat on my shelf because I'm actually waiting to pick up Demons 1. I've never seen the first Demons movie. I'm very keen to see Demons. I'm very keen to see Demons 2. I feel like I already have seen these movies just because being in the horror community, they get spoken about so much in such great light. So keen to check out Demons 2 when I have the chance. I picked up another Argento movie. Luckily, this one does get better praise and gets spoken about in a better light. Here we have the Jello Cat of Nine or Cat o' Nine Tails. Yeah, I think growing up, I was sort of the only horror fan that I knew. So when I was expanding my horror horizons and learning about foreign horror movies and Jellos and everything, it was at a slower pace, and I'm still sort of making my way through that. So I'm very keen to check out Cat o' Nine Tails when I have the chance. Here's one that was a fun one to give a rewatch to. A movie called Sasquatch: The Untold. It's got Lance Hendrickson in it. This is one that I remember renting from the video store when I was a kid, and even back then I knew it wasn't very good. Rewatching it, my opinion didn't really change much, but I've spoken about this on my channel before. I'm a big cryptid fan, like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, that sort of thing. I love hearing stories and whatever about them. So horror movies and cryptids together, I'm all about it. So I wanted to pick this one up, even though I remembered it being pretty bad. I'm happy that there still is a few horror movies here that I have watched, so that I can speak about, because as I said, a lot of them, just with time, I haven't got around to watching, but nevertheless, they're on my shelf, and eventually I will find time. Okay, here's a good lot to do together, actually. One of the last reviews that I did on my channel was a review of Crawl Space from 80, I can't remember the year, 80 something, with Klaus Kinski. And I was talking about how there's two versions of Crawl Space. There's that one with Klaus Kinski, and then there's a made-for-TV Crawl Space movie from the 70s, which I owned a little bootleg disc for, and I said in my review, I'm like, I should try and find a legit copy for that movie. I went online, and I did. I found a bootleg for the 70s TV movie version of Crawl Space. But while I was looking at that bootleg, a whole stockload of bootlegs came up for movies that we don't have here in Australia, and I'm like, great. So instead of picking up Crawl Space, I just went crazy on ones that I would have preferred to pick up. So let's go through them. They're all by the same bootleg company from what it looks like. So the first one that I picked up is Humanoids from the Deep. Some people might know it as Monster, but I love Humanoids from the Deep. I think this movie is just so much fun. It's one of my favourite creature features. It's just turn your brain off. It's sleazy, and there's some questionable stuff going on, but this movie is just fucking awesome. So I'm so happy I found a copy of Humanoids from the Deep. Most of the stuff there that was on this bootleg site is older movies, but there was some cool new stuff, one of them being Barbarian. This was one of my favourite horror movies of 2022. I think it was in like my top 3 from memory. Rewatching it, I feel like I didn't like it as much as I did in 2022, but with that being said, I still think this movie is awesome. And again, this is one that it's a 20th Century Fox movie, but then Fox was bought by Disney, so here in Australia you can only stream it on Disney+. I needed it for my collection, so I picked this one up. I think Barbarian's a lot of fun. Again, I picked up another movie that I had seen before. You'll see a pattern here. But this was a cool one to come across because, again, I love animal horror movies, and this is one that I haven't seen in a very long time. It is Killer Crocodile from 1989. It is a Italian and American co-production. This movie's like it's just this big rubbery fake looking crocodile killing people. The story is goofy. There's like radioactivity, and that's why the crocodile's so big. But this movie just has so much charm, and as soon as I picked this one up, I chucked it on. It was the first one of the lot that I gave a rewatch to. I think Killer Crocodile is so much fun. There is a sequel, but I couldn't find it on the site. But if I ever do find the sequel, I'll pick it up. I actually haven't seen Killer Crocodile 2, so excited to do that. They were the first three that I picked up when I was looking for crawl space initially, but I eventually did go back to the site and pick up some more. One of them was another one like crawl space. I actually had a bootleg disc of it, but never a release with like a cover and whatever, and that is Up From the Depths. Again, this is a movie that I have a soft spot for. For those who haven't seen this movie, I will say it's not a good movie. Like, if you're looking for a movie to like really lock into and find like deeper meaning from and whatever, this is not it. This shark monster thing on the front, the creature looks nothing like this. Again, it's just this big rubbery fish that they just, I guess, float through the water. Doesn't really move around too much or whatever. But again, I have a soft spot for this movie. It's just one that I turn my brain off and just have fun with. And I think I have a soft spot for it because of that old bootleg disc that I had. There's some more bootlegs to come, but for the time being, just going through this pile, I picked up Tremors 3 and Tremors 5. I couldn't find Tremors 4 or 2, but now I have in my collection Tremors 1, 3 and 5. So there's a few there that I have to connect the dots with to pick up the whole franchise. Getting back to the bootlegs again from this site, and again another one that I actually had a singular disc for. I think that was the whole reason why I kept picking these ones up whenever they were on the site. I'm like, oh yes, I have that movie, just no cover for it. And these I have been rewatching, and they're much better quality than the discs that I had. So if you're wondering, their bootlegs, is the quality any good? They actually do look pretty solid. But Popcorn, really cool slasher from the 90s. It is 91. This one's just so much fun. It's about like these college students or high school students or something, where they're having like this all-night horror movie marathon, like 3 movies in a row, and it's like this big party in this theater. But there's this guy called the Skinner or something, I can't remember, but he's going through and he's like taking people out. This movie's so much fun. I haven't given a rewatch since picking it up, but again, that old bootleg disc that I had, I watched it all the time back in the day, so I'm very familiar with this movie. Another new movie in comparison to a lot of the ones that I showed off from this bootleg site, The Ritual from Netflix. I think this is a great film. It's directed by what's his name? David Bruckner, which he's done a lot of really cool movies. I think he's one of the better horror directors working at the moment. But if you haven't checked this one out, like I said, it's on Netflix, but Netflix obviously don't release physical copies of their movies, so I had to pick up The Ritual. I picked up by Lucio Fulci. A lot of people would consider this to be his best movie, The Beyond. For me, it's between The Beyond and City of the Living Dead as my favourite Fulci movie. I have seen this one before, but again, it's The Beyond. I had to have it in my collection. I couldn't turn it up when I was looking on the site, so I picked up The Beyond. I'm going to skip through one here. I'll get back to it. I also picked up Stage Fright. This is one of the uglier bootleg covers. Like, all of the releases actually don't look too bad, but I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the uglier looking ones. Not the movie itself, the movie looks fine, but I just mean the cover and whatever. But I do like Stage Fright. I think it's a fun slasher movie. It has like a similar vibe to like Jallows and everything, but it does go into more slasher territory, to be honest. But yeah. Now, as you noticed, a lot of those movies that I picked up from that bootleg site were movies that I had seen before, and I was starting to be like, okay, am I just like picking up movies that I know I like, and am I gonna branch out? So I picked up a few movies that I haven't seen before to compensate. The first one is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Now, this is one that I have heard a lot about. It's a classic from 1971. And it's regarded as a very good horror movie. I've just never seen it. And it did make me laugh that this one is there, because a lot of them are movies like Popcorn and Killer Crocodile. And then you just happen to come across a genuinely well-regarded horror movie that we don't really have a release for here in Australia. So I picked up Let's Scare Jessica to Death. And then I also picked up a movie called Video Dead. This is one that jumped out to me because from what I've seen online, overseas, in America and whatever, there's always that release that has TerrorVision and Video Dead in like this dual pack. So when I came across a singular copy of Video Dead, I jumped on it straight away. So I'm excited to get into that one. Grabbing another pile. How are we travelling so far? Half an hour, not too bad. Okay. So even though reception for this next movie hasn't been the greatest, I'm actually very happy to have this one now. And it is Lee Winnell's 2025 remake of Wolfman. Like I said, most reviews and everything have been pretty poor for this movie, but I am so behind on my 2025 watches, it's scary. Like I said, just finding time to watch a movie in my house has been hard, so going to the cinemas and whatever, it's been really difficult. I can literally tell you right now the horror movies that I've seen from 2025. I've seen Sinners, and I've seen Fear Street, Prom Queen. So I need to play catch up major, so I'm just happy to have Wolfman and something new from this year to watch. I picked up Basket Case 3. Now this was a cool find for a couple of reasons. One, now I have all the Basket Case movies, and two, this is one I'm actually really keen to watch. I know a lot of people really like the first Basket Case movie, but then as they go, they start to enjoy them less. I'm actually the other way around. I'm not massive on the first Basket Case movie. Basket Case 2 is a lot more ridiculous and taking its... The first one's not that serious, but the second one's definitely not taking itself very serious. And from what I know, this one sort of follows the tone of Basket Case 2. So I'm very excited to now own Basket Case 3 and check it out. A cool slasher movie from the mid-2000s, if I remember correctly, that I haven't seen in the longest time. So I'm so happy to give this one a rewatch. And it is a movie called Drive Through. It's about a fast food company's mascot named Horny the Clown. He's like even got like the drive-through speaker in his mouth, and he goes around carving up teens. You know, it's just a turn your brain off slasher, but from memory, a lot of fun. So I'm excited to give this one a rewatch because, like I said, it's been the longest time since I last watched Drive Through. I'm gonna swap arms because this one's getting sore from holding things up. A movie called Cat Sick Blues. From memory, again, I'm pretty sure this is an Australian movie, pretty low budget, and it's very weird from what I've heard, so I'm excited to get into Cat Sick Blues. Okay, here's a cool one that I'm so happy I found, a movie called I Saw the Devil. Again, a bit more of a thriller. It's like following this guy who is tracking down this notorious serial killer who, from memory, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, from memory he killed his wife or something. So it's kind of like, what lengths would you go to track down a serial killer, and then, you know, because you're doing some questionable things as well, you know, it's like a moral story as well as being very brutal. It's a Korean film from memory, South Korea, if I remember right. I have actually reviewed this on my channel before, but big regret. It was the only review I've ever done where I did not have a physical copy of the movie with me, which pisses me off. Just like something in me is annoyed by that. A movie called Cinderella's Revenge. Now, I picked this one up knowing that it doesn't look the greatest, and it probably wouldn't be the greatest, but even watching it, it was unfortunately worse than what I thought it was going to be. I was just sort of hoping, you know, turn my brain off, have a bit of fun, but yeah, honestly, this movie wasn't anything special at all. You know, you can only hope sometimes. So happy that this movie had a physical release, a movie called Exuma. This was one from last year that had a lot of people talking, again from South Korea. A supernatural paranormal horror movie. I have seen half of this movie when I was on my overseas trip. This was one that was on the plane, and I'm like, yes, I can finally have time to watch something that I hadn't checked out. And I had plenty of time. The flight was like 14 hours. But I think just in that environment where you're watching it on a small screen, headphones, turbulence would come every now and then. Someone come through, drop off, on flight meals and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I've got to read subtitles and stay locked in. Maybe this isn't quite the movie. So I've seen half of it, but I'm excited to watch the rest of it. This one was pretty cool. This is a movie called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. So this one's kind of about, it takes place in this world where horror movie icons are real people. So Jason Voorhees is a real person, Freddy Krueger, blah, blah, blah. And this guy, Leslie Vernon, wants to be the next horror icon. So you've got this film crew following him around, documenting his journey to becoming a horror icon. It was interesting. I don't think I liked it as much as a lot of other people do, but it was a cool one. Oh, I'm even running out of room for these movies to get put down. I picked up a classic slasher, The Burning. I know a lot of, one of the big debates is what is a better slasher movie, The Burning or Friday the 13th, because they do have a lot of similarities. And from memory, I know Friday the 13th is 1980. I'm pretty sure this is 81, so they came out very close together as well. And it was kind of 1981. I remember the big conversation is always the doppelganger movie, the movie that copied Friday the 13th, somehow is better than Friday the 13th. I would still say that Friday is better than The Burning, but cool movie nevertheless. This was a cool first time watch. Leviathan, as I said, big fan of animal horror movies, and this one's more of a creature feature. I didn't expect it to be the type of movie it was, from memory, because again I watched this one a fair while back when I first picked it up. It was a mix between Alien and The Thing a little bit as well, with the whole DNA and mutation sort of side of things. I thought this movie was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark. This was actually a first time watch for myself as well. A very high regarded, well known horror movie about vampires out in I don't know, it's Western vampires kinda. I thought it was cool. I guess I'm probably not as high on it as a lot of other people. Now this one was cool. I genuinely was digging this movie. A movie called They Nest. About this town that's getting overrun by these this new species of cockroach. From memory, it's a Sci-Fi Channel movie. But this is back when Sci-Fi Channel was genuinely trying to make good movies, and they were they weren't the highest budgeted or whatever, but they were genuinely trying. Now we get sci-fi horror movies where it's you have to go into it expecting it to be bad. These ones you kind of go in with low expectations but get surprised. This movie was genuinely pretty fun. Alright. Slowly getting through the piles. Hopefully you guys are sticking with me here. Okay, so a few more bootlegs that I forgot to put with the other ones. Again, they're from the same bootleg releases here. So we got Graduation Day, a slasher movie. I haven't seen this one, but I know it is a slasher, so I'm excited to check that one out. What was the other one here in this pile? I think this is it. Giant Spider Invasion. This is another one that I have seen before. It's honestly a kind of fun movie. It's from 1975. The spiders look ridiculous. From memory, just hearing people talk about it, I'm pretty sure they had these big spider designs. This is what they look like. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but they had these big spider costumes, and they would sit them on top of cars and then just drive the cars around. It's ridiculous, but I have seen this one before and it's kind of fun. So picked up the sequel Beetlejuice. I do like this movie. I think the best part about it is Michael Keaton. He just doesn't miss a beat as Beetlejuice. My issue with this movie is there's just too much going on in it. Like, there's like 3 or 4 storylines going on, and a lot of them just feel unnecessary. It just sort of makes the movie feel a little bit bloated. If it just sort of stuck to 1 or 2 and had them overlap in a nice way, like a couple of them do, but like I said, there's like 4 or 5 going on, and this is way too much. But I mean, for like a sequel that has come out so many years after the original, I think it's pretty solid. And I'd be down if they did a third Beetlejuice movie. Obviously, you've got the opportunity right there to call it Beetlejuice. But then the problem is, if you call it Beetlejuice, you're gonna have him running around the theaters everywhere. Another one from 2025 that I've just recently picked up, Screamboat. This is the Steamboat Willie horror movie. Everyone knows about like these iconic characters where the rights have been released and now you can turn them into horror villains. You know, you've got the whole Poohniverse where it's like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. You got the Peter Pan horror movie that came out this year as well. You got Bambi. There's plenty of Popeye ones as well. You got the Grinch's one. And this isn't even the first Steamboat Willie horror movie, but this one seems to be like the most promising. You got David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown, playing Steamboat Willie. You've got like a competent team making this movie, so I'm actually kind of excited to check that one out. Got Smile too. This is another one that I've spoken about a fair bit on my channel and on my socials and whatever. I honestly prefer the first Smile movie, which I know a lot of people, it's the other way around. A lot of people really dug this one and weren't the biggest fan of the first movie. I think the first movie is really good and genuinely scary. This one, like, I don't hate it. I think, honestly, this is one I'm genuinely excited to give a rewatch to. I thought the ending was awesome. There's parts sprinkled throughout that I really dug. Just overall, it didn't really click with me, and I thought it was too long as well. But like I said, this is one that I'm genuinely keen to give a rewatch to. I'll do these ones back to back. I picked up Scarecrow Slayer and Scarecrow Gone Wild. These look like just cheap early 2000s slasher movies. I'm guessing early 2000s or maybe late 90s. Can't find dates on them. But I also know there's a first movie just called Scarecrow. But I'm sure it doesn't really matter. I can go into these without saying the first. They just kind of look like that type of movie. Picked up the Nosferatu remake by Robert Eggers. Gave this one a watch. Really enjoyed it. It's not my favourite Robert Eggers movie, but I honestly think he's gone 4 from 4. My favourite of his would probably be The Witch, followed by, it's a tough one, but I'll go The Northman, then Nosferatu, and then The Lighthouse. But honestly, he's 4 from 4. So I picked up Forbidden Planet, classic old school sci-fi horror. Haven't given it a watch yet though. Alright, still more to go, but last pile of movies. Where are we at? 45 minutes just about. Fuck me. I picked up VHS Beyond. It wasn't even that long ago on my channel. I did a ranking video ranking the VHS franchise from my least favourite to favourite, and I said in that video, give it 6 months time and the video is going to be outdated, because they're releasing these annually, and I'm happy that they are because it's a really cool concept. But this is the newest one. If I had to insert it in the ranking, it would probably be in my bottom 3. I thought this one wasn't the greatest. All of them in this one have like an alien sci-fi outer space connection. Beside the one directed by Justin Long. I guess he didn't get the memo because that one's about people being turned into dogs, but it's clear to see like the movie that he was in from Kevin Smith, Tusk, obviously had an effect on him, because his story in this one's very similar to that. I picked up Maniac Cop 2. It's just, again, a fun movie. I think I'd prefer the first Maniac Cop, but again, it's just a good time. What is really underrated with these movies is the stunt work and the action scenes, like really fucking good. My favorite horror movie of last year and arguably of the 2020s so far, The Substance. I just think this movie's incredible. Haven't given it a rewatch yet, still wrapped in plastic, but when I have the time I will. I picked up last year's Immaculate. Now this is a movie where when I first seen it, I wasn't massive on it. But since time's gone by, and the more I've thought about it, I'm like, okay, maybe this is one that deserves a second chance, and eventually I will give it that second chance. One called Bloodline Killer, which is still wrapped. I've never seen it before, and I've never even heard of this movie, so I'll give it a go. It looks low budget, but somewhat new, so we'll see. Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. This was a cool one to find. I never even knew that it once upon a time had a physical release here in Australia, so when I came across this one, I was more than happy to jump on it. One that a lot of people I'm sure would have passed on, but Hollow Man 2. I'm a big fan of the original Hollow Man movie with Kevin Bacon. I think it's a lot of fun, just cool sci-fi horror. This one takes a more action thriller approach, and with that being said, it's still not a great movie, but it's not bad. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. Another one that's not a horror movie, but it is Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man. This is my favourite Arnie movie, either this or Predator. Actually has some pretty good comedies as well, but like when it comes to Arnie and his action movies, this one's right up there. I'm gonna keep it in my horror collection because if you haven't seen The Running Man, it's like this guy who is on this futuristic TV show where you watch people get hunted down by these people that have like costumes that give them powers. Like this guy shoots electricity and this other guy has like this big scythe, and yeah, it's pretty much like serial killers hunting down criminals, and I think the movie is awesome. I picked up this movie from last year called The Exorcism. I picked it up because it's one that I missed in cinemas, and it turns out I wasn't really missing much. This movie wasn't very good. And it's also weird that it's called The Exorcism, it's starring Russell Crowe as a priest, but it's not related to the Pope's exorcism, where Russell Crowe played a priest. It was very weird. A Shudder exclusive that I haven't got around to watching yet, but it's called The Sun. Let me know if it's any good, or I think it's just called Sun. But a cool killer kid movie that I came across. The movie didn't look the greatest, I'll be honest, but it's Bloody Birthday. Even though the movie didn't look the greatest, I had a great time with this one. It's like these kids that were all born on the same day, where this like thing in the sky happened, like an eclipse or whatever, and they were all born evil. And I thought this movie was like a lot of fun, really cool. Now here's one that will probably rub people the wrong way a little bit. A lot of people say that this is the best horror movie of all time. It comes up in that conversation. It is Possession. I gave this one a watch for the first time. I was so keen to watch it because I'd never seen it before, and again, I know how high regarded it is. Wasn't massive on it. There was definitely moments I liked, like that octopus creature, and I liked the sexual nature of this movie, but otherwise I wasn't completely on the hype for it. But I'll give it a rewatch sometime. Maybe it's just one that you have to watch a few times. And then last for the movies, we have Brian De Palma's Raising Cain. De Palma is just such a good director. Like, I think a lot of horror fans know that he's a great director, but still just manages to be underrated, and Raising Cain was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Couple of TV shows to go through now. I'm trying to not hit the brakes. I'm trying to keep momentum, else this will go for a fucking fortnight. If you're still here with me, let me know in the comments, because I'll give you a shout out. I appreciate it. I picked up this Tales from the Dark Side complete set. So this is all 4 seasons of the show, It says 90 episodes spread out over 12 discs. Again, I haven't found much time to get into it, but I've watched a handful of episodes by now. It's put out by Viavision, or Viavision, however you want to say their name, and they've been crushing it with the complete series releases so far. Fingers crossed, the one that I'm hoping that they do is Tales from the Crypt. I feel like that will be a little bit harder to do because there's like 10 or 12 seasons of that show. But yeah, I'd love it if they could do a complete box set of that. And I don't know why this one is here. I think I just picked it up when I picked up Tales from the Dark Side, but I got South Park season 19. So cool. Alright, now let's get to the collectibles. Again, I'm not hitting the brakes. I've got to keep this going because we are so far at 50 minutes. I picked up a Dracula Funko Pop, the original Universal version of Dracula. Very cool. There was like 5 in this line: Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Gillman, the Wolfman, and Dracula. I haven't been able to find Wolfman anywhere, but I have the other ones. Cool. I'm a big fan of Goosebumps, if you couldn't tell. And fitting, I picked up Night of the Living Dummy 3, which is this shirt that I'm wearing, so I knew I had to put it on. I know a lot of people who have read the Goosebumps books, they're not a big fan of this third book. Believe it or not, this is one of, if not my favourite Goosebumps book ever. I remember I read this one in grade 3 or 4, and I was addicted to it. Like, this was my fucking Bible. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I picked up this Jaws lunchbox. I don't use it as a lunchbox. I just have it on display, but very cool. Like the old school tin style. It's got the da-dum, da-dum, da-dum on the back. But yeah, very cool. It's like set up like a building as well, or a sign like no swimming. Got the artwork. Amity Island, beach closed on the top. Cool. And then lucky last, not horror related, but final 2 things here. You guys know my favourite show of all time. Like, if I had to pick one thing to watch for the rest of my life, between movies, TV show, just any form of media, it would be this, hands down, The Simpsons. I'm the biggest Simpsons fan going around. I love it. Picked up this Simpsons puzzle. 1,000 pieces. You guys know also, if you're familiar with my channel, I love doing puzzles. 1,000 pieces. I'm keen to get into this one. It's like a map of Springfield, but there's so many references. Like, there's Homer in the sugar truck. There's Stampy the elephant. There's Moe shooing away the pandas because they're onto him. If you've seen that episode, you'll know. Bart stealing the statue's head. Yeah, there's just so many iconic things here. The monorail, obviously, so I'm super excited to get into this puzzle. But again, say it with me, guys, when I find time. And then finally, this, again, Simpsons hoodie. Cool colour, very soft. I like my clothes a bit oversized, a bit baggy, so this one, again, suits my style. I picked this one up when I was overseas, so very cool. Alright, that is it for my collection update video. Like I said, I'll have, for people who do like my music collection updates, I'll put that in a separate video. I just knew it was going to go way too long. But yeah, the next time I join you guys for a collection update will be my collection update for winter and spring of 2025. But let me know if you like this format or it was too long. I might take your feedback on board. But for those who stuck with me, let me know in the comments, guys. I appreciate it as always. And I don't know why I'm looking for something else to say. This video has gone on long enough, so I'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me, guys, and I'll see you for another video, hopefully soon.